This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi and continuing coverage of the case against Bryan Kohberger.
When we talk about the Bryan Kohberger case, it's easy to get lost in the chilling details of what he did. So easy, in fact, we sometimes overlook the silent victim standing on the periphery, the family he left behind. Imagine for a moment you're a parent, a sibling. Your loved one is accused of brutally taking 4 innocent lives. Initially, denial may set in. It's natural. Desperate refusal to believe someone you raised or shared memories with. Christmas mornings, 4th of July's, Thanksgiving holidays, summer vacations, those little laughs when you're a kid. Even if your sibling or your child, maybe they were the kind of different than the others, you still loved them. They were your family. They acted a bit weird, but I'm sure never in your wildest dreams did you think you'd be sitting in a courtroom in Boise, Idaho someday with him saying the word yes repeatedly when a judge asks him, after naming off the names of 4 college students, did you kill these people with intent? Was something that had never, ever crossed any of their brains' landscapes. Then reality crashes down hard. And it's reality. And that's your son. That's your brother. What the hell happened? We're going to try and dig into that today. And while we do, we're the Shavaun Scott. I want you to let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section of this video on YouTube. That's where we take the comments, because it's mainly one of the only places you can leave the comments other than social media and X and such. But we'd love to hear your thoughts. So please do check out our YouTube channel. It's called Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Just search it, find it, and subscribe and join us over there. We do greatly appreciate that, as well as you subscribing on the podcast platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Patreon, or rather, not on Patreon, or Spotify or iHeart, wherever it may be. We thank you so much for that, and please do subscribe there. So, we're going to be looking beyond Kohberger himself and into the lives forever altered by his confession. In a candid conversation with psychotherapist Shavaun Scott, we're going to explore the emotional and psychological ramifications for the families of accused killers. Bryan's family has been thrust unwillingly into a harrowing spotlight, haunted by their own doubts from the earliest days of the investigation. Remember, Kohberger's sister allegedly expressed deep concern early on, even suggesting they check his car, which they did. Over Thanksgiving, when he shows up, Dad, Kohberger's got the rubber gloves on, like you do. And putting things in plastic baggies, like you do. That's normal. Fearing the worst might actually be true. Suspicion and confirmation are worlds apart, and now this family faces a gut-wrenching truth from Kohberger's own mouth. How do his parents, siblings, or their spouses begin to reconcile the person they thought they knew with the monstrous acts they're admitted to have committed? We're going to tackle the unsettling questions many now ask. Could something have prevented this? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anybody does. Did Bryan's childhood experiences or family environment somehow pave the path for murder? Or was this a case of someone simply wired differently from birth, with little chance of intervention or redirection? To get expert clarity on these profound, complex emotional dynamics, there's somebody here that's going to answer it. It makes me wonder a little bit about the tools that we have, because up until now, we've been relying strictly on observational skills of other people, of others, of experts in the area to be able to look at this and go, okay, here's what I see. Here's the demonstrations of the behavior. Here's how they present. Here's what we think is going on. With more technology and AI and things of that nature, it makes me wonder if we're going to have more things in the future in the world of psychological evaluation that can pick up on things that we can't, that the human beings cannot, to such a micro level that may show us trends or little ticks here and there that only these types of people seemed to, react to. I don't know how that would be done. I don't know how that would be monitored. I'm just wondering, as we're going to see more and more advances in medical technology in terms of curing things, I wonder how much we're going to see in terms of diagnosing things, especially in the world of psychology and mental health.
Yeah, I would guess if we're fortunate enough to still have humanity 100 years from now and still be inhabiting the planet, that we will be doing a better job at catching things than we're doing now.
I want to talk about the family of Bryan Kohberger. They obviously have not spoken out very much at all since all this went down. We have reports that the family was a bit curious and a little bit worried that maybe their little boy is, in fact, this murderer, all the way to the fact that when he was at their house for Thanksgiving, the sister allegedly said, how do we know it's not him? He drives the car. He's wearing rubber gloves. This is a little weird. And then they checked his car. I mean, going as far as, it wasn't just, it's nuts. It's like, let's go look in his car. That's like, you really are thinking like this is it. And now you have the admission. I mean, how does that family begin to kind of wrap their minds around this? Or I wonder if they kind of already have.
Yeah. I would guess that this has been sitting, with them for obviously since he was arrested. And to some degree, I would guess that they were prepared for it. But it's still got to be a horrendous shock to have it come out of his own mouth that, yes, he did it. Because probably, at least for, I think the father was the one holding hope or the most resistant to the fact that he was indeed guilty. It's going to be a hard blow. They'll never get over it. And I feel really, really sorry for his parents in particular and for the sisters who lost jobs because of the last name. I would definitely be looking at changing my name because that's a unique name and they're never going to get away from that.
Yeah, I would imagine that this is, it's something that will certainly follow them for the rest of their lives, unfortunately. They got to be looking back. I'm sure they have been, for years now at, what were the signs? Like you had mentioned earlier, we don't know what they were. We don't know what he was like as a child. I imagine we'll find out more of that if people speak or if people dig into it. But that's got to be heartbreaking and helpless as a parent at the same time, because you would be wondering, did I do something wrong? Was there an event? But do you think there was anything in Kohberger's life, and this is just pure speculation, that pushed him to go this far? Or is this more of just how he was wired from day one and the cards just happened to align this way?
Yeah, we certainly have zero evidence that he wasn't raised in a good home. I mean, apparently, the parents seem like very normal, loving people who tried to do the right thing. When he had the problem with heroin, they got him into rehab. He recovered from that. So they seem to be very, very normal people. And while some serial killers do have a history of abuse, many don't. And I don't think we have a good explanation for that. But I'm sure they are beating themselves up. Whenever parents have a kid that takes a dark path, they typically, if they're normal people, they go back over everything in the history and they tend to blame themselves for not catching things, not noticing things. And it's really hell. I do think that there are people who just come out miswired, and that's the part we don't have completely figured out yet.
Is there a benefit to sitting down and really digging in with him? And really trying to figure out what the heck happened here for the sake of future cases. Because I could hear an argument from the family going, you're doing exactly what he wants. You're giving him the attention that he wants. You're getting some of the best minds that we have that are already lining up to go and study him. Ramsden already said that she's willing to, like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but she's willing to, like, go have those conversations and try and study this. From a victim standpoint, yeah, it's like we're giving him what he wants, but is it for the greater good? Do you think this is someone who is capable of trying to tell his story and try to share where he's coming from? That would really be of benefit to anyone. Just your personal opinion on that.
I think it's a benefit to those of us who study this stuff.
Yeah.
And we study it because we want to be able to prevent it. And that's different than going in with the agenda of, I just want to sell as many books as I can.
Sure.
So I think it depends on the qualifications of the person doing the interviews and the fact that they can ask the really important questions, the insightful questions, not just go in with lurid tales.
Mm-hmm.
But so I lean in the direction of, yeah, let's not make movies about him, because those tend to just be for attention. But more of a clinical approach, I think it is probably a good thing.
Yeah, and I know Catherine Ramsden won't be doing it for clicks. She'd be doing it strictly for the research and the amazing research that she has done. It's just kind of that double-edged sword there, especially right now when everything is so raw and the victims across the board, from the families of the ones who were murdered to his own family, because they have been victimized in this themselves by their own son.
Very much.
And
very much.
are trying to come to grips on this. Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author, thank you so much for joining us. Shavaun's memoir, Nightbird, is out right now wherever you get books. It goes into the complex dynamics of revenge, suicide, and a lot of other trauma that Shavaun lived herself. It's a great book. So if it says right here, and I can't put words into her mouth, but I'm just going to read what she says. It's going to resonate with anyone who has struggled with self-doubt, shame, and a quest for self-acceptance. And especially if you've dealt with narcissists, borderlines, that sort of stuff, this is a good book. I do highly recommend it. It's available on Amazon. So there's that. Check that out. According to Shavaun, it's clear that the pain inflicted by Bryan Kohberger extends far beyond the tragic murders that he's confessed to. It radiates outward, tearing apart his own family's lives in ways few can truly comprehend. And I'm in no way downplaying the impact that this man has had on the victims' families, the ones who were murdered. But we also cannot forget that these parents, this family, did not ask for any of this as well. They've been very, very respectful to the families of the children who were murdered. I think these people are also suffering in profound, profound ways and deserve grace. It's not a family that curated a killer. Shavaun's insights remind us just how profoundly complex the emotional fallout can be for the relatives of someone capable of such unspeakable violence. There's no manual, no guidebook on how to process a loved one's descent into darkness, especially when hindsight offers little comfort and only compounds feelings of guilt or missed signals. One of the toughest truths that we confronted in this today, that while we desperately want answers, some people may simply come into the world wired differently. Despite every effort, every supportive environment, some minds veer towards darkness for reasons even experts can't fully pinpoint. Shavaun made a powerful point. Even the best, most loving families can find themselves confronting the unthinkable. They will forever replay the past, wondering if they missed subtle cues or unknowingly contributed in some way, but the reality is often far crueler than that. There may have been no obvious signs to catch, no moment of intervention possible, just a devastating intersection of fate and pathology. And I don't know that that brings any sort of comfort to anyone, but it's the reality. Brings us to one final uncomfortable dilemma that we must wrestle with. It's the ethical or is it ethical or even helpful to closely study someone like Kohberger after the fact? Experts like Catherine Ramsland have indicated interest in exploring Kohberger's mind in detail, but as Shavaun pointed out, we must always carefully weigh the balance between gaining meaningful clinical insights and unintentionally fulfilling the desires of someone seeking infamy or validation. Ultimately, Kohberger's case focuses us and forces us to confront deep and distressing questions about human nature and familial responsibility, questions we usually prefer not to face head-on. Yet we owe it to both the victims and the broader community to strive toward answers, to learn from these darkest chapters, even if the conclusions leave us deeply unsettled. Comment section on YouTube. Please tell me what your thoughts are. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi to find us on YouTube if you're not there yet. Also, press subscribe while you're there if you're watching or listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, whatever it may be. Please press subscribe there, and also do, when you have a moment, check out our YouTube channel. Like I said, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Hit subscribe there so you can comment and interact in all these cases with us as well. Until next time, for all of us here at the Hidden Killers podcast, my name's Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again real soon.
Craving non-stop true crime updates? Press subscribe now and get the latest cases, analysis, and expert commentary delivered straight to your feed. Only from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.